Welcome to another episode review. Another one where we have to deal with one episode that's legitimately good to great, and one that is trash. So, yep, you guys know the gist by now. Let's get it over with. What's up? What's happening? It's going to be with Matt Teen Investigation and anything animation, including a sponge lives on a pineapple under the sea, as well as TV and movies. I'm your host, Justin Small. The reviews of the day are Inmates of Summer and To Save a Squirrel. Let's get the great one out of the way first, and then we'll take on the trash bag. Is it wrong of me to say that this is another one of those episodes I confused for a season 6 episode? I don't know if it's the tone or the feel. I can't really explain it. What I can explain it as is that it is still a great episode regardless of what season it came from. Inmates of Summer is another one of those episodes from modern SpongeBob that everyone already knows is legitimately great. It has a great plot, it has a special guest star that we'll talk about in a minute, and it has a lot of really fun, memorable moments. It's SpongeBob when firing on all cylinders. It's modern SpongeBob when they're not leaning into their worst aspects. Because there's no Patrick's prickiness, there's no Squidward torture porn. Mr. Krabs is nowhere in this episode. It's just SpongeBob and Patrick thrown into a different scenario. Think like Rock Bottom. Not quite as great, but it's a good template to follow. So what happens in this episode? Well, SpongeBob and Patrick end up wanting to go to a summer camp. They sign up for a summer camp. They think they're about to go on a summer camp. But instead they end up in a prison camp. Run by the most hilarious over-the-top prison warden you will ever see in your life. We'll get to his special voice in a minute. And SpongeBob and Patrick are put through all these activities, and because it is SpongeBob and Patrick, you can actually buy into them being oblivious, where they find all these activities that are supposed to be punishing actually fun. And heck, they even manage to convince the warden that they convince the warden to let them put on a play with the rest of the prisoners. And it's a weird play, but it's also kind of cool, because it has a nice... you can tell the effort is in it. It may not be, the greatest thing ever, but you can tell that there's heart put into it, and it's a genuinely interesting and fun play. And the song itself, I can't remember the name. I'm just going to call it Together. 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 It's a really good song. I do enjoy the song. It's simple, again, but it's enjoyable. I really like it. And then the ending comes around where they try to use the boat, which the prisoners don't realize is just a cardboard facade, to try and escape from Prison Island. Instead, they just end up sinking their ship. I cannot talk today, I am so sorry. They end up sinking the little facade, and they end up getting punished by the warden to go into actual summer school. Well, not summer school, summer camp. And SpongeBob and Patrick finally end up at the camp they're supposed to be at, and they actually find it torture, now that they have been in the prison camp, and now they pretty much think that they are the prisoners. It's such a funny contrast, and such a very interesting ending. So, yeah, this episode's great. I've always really enjoyed this one. There's so many great gags, so many great highlights, and they're all centered around my overall big highlight of the entire episode. It's the warden. It's like they took that awesome drill sergeant from Mrs. Puff You're Fired from Season 4, ramped him up to 11, and made him an even bigger over-the-top cartoon. And even cooler, this guy is voiced by one of the most iconic drill sergeants in movie history. Yep. He is voiced by R. Lee Ermey, may he rest in peace. And he does what he does best, acting like a drill sergeant. But of course, he can't swear or say anything drill sergeants actually say in the army, because, well, this is a kid's cartoon. They have to tone it back a little bit. But he still plays his part well, and whenever he's actually being comedic, it works. He has a pretty good sense of humor. And then, my other highlight, it's part of the picture you already see on your screen. It's Patrick bringing a coffin. It's so random, it's never explained, but I find that so funny. SpongeBob brings a backpack, and then you have Patrick just carrying around this giant wood coffin. They don't really explain why, but it's funny, and it kind of fits Patrick because it's so random. Yeah, this episode's great. I've always enjoyed this one, and I am sad it's another one of those that doesn't really get talked about much outside of best lists for modern episodes. Outside of that, it's rarely ever talked about, and that's a huge shame because it's easily one of the best episodes of the season. It's funny, it's creative, it's unique, it's interesting, and it takes a template from Rock Bottom and manages to make yet another great episode out of it. Just SpongeBob and Patrick getting thrown into a different situation, and somehow it works. Because instead of leaning into all their worst traits of modern SpongeBob, they instead leaned into all the best traits that made it so good in the first place. And because of that, it lands with a final verdict of an 8 out of 10. Great episode. I have always enjoyed this one. I will always love this one. And while it's not the best episode of the entire season, it's definitely among the great ones. I really enjoyed this episode. Like, it just narrowly misses the top 10 list because there's so many other episodes, but it's such a great one. It's gotta be at least number 11 on my top list of the season. Okay, praise is over. Let's talk about the trash bag. Welcome one, welcome all, to what's possibly the most stupid, pointless episode in all of SpongeBob. It is an episode that only gets worse every time I've seen it, and the title is misleading. It's not to save a squirrel, it's to save a sponge and a star. The title is a straight lie. And because it's such a straight lie, I'm not saying the actual title. So, here's how this episode goes. In To Save a Sponge and Star, Patrick and SpongeBob end up getting separated from Sandy when they're supposed to be going on like a science camping trip. And what's the first thing that happens? Well, Patrick burns all their food. Wonderful. Then they get chased into a cave. Great. And then they suddenly just go insane. And then they try to eat each other. They meet this evil hobo that tries to get them to eat each other. And then it turns out it was all a test from Sandy. Yeah, this entire episode was just a test from Sandy, because somehow she knew that they were going to fall off. Somehow she knew they were going to screw everything up. And apparently it was for some kind of wilderness badge. But here's the thing, she drove them so insane and hungry, to the point where they try to eat her in the end. Yeah. It's not to save a squirrel. Calling this episode To Save a Squirrel is an absolute lie. So, the episode's boring, the episode's tedious, you have Patrick being stupid by burning all the food right away. And you just have them going insane for the umpteenth time, because I'm pretty sure we've done this plenty of times in a bunch of other episodes from the first 4 seasons. Stupid. Writing is stupid, the plot's pointless, the title is a lie, the writing is horrendous, Patrick is at one of his dumbest moments ever, and the plot twist honestly just sinks the whole episode. So is there anything good in this episode that's legitimately funny? Yeah, there is one part. It's brief, but I personally found it kind of funny. Kind of. It's a quick little bit with Squidward. Squidward's in the beginning of the episode. And right when SpongeBob and Patrick start walking away from their house after annoying him for the umpteenth time, he starts putting pins in voodoo dolls of SpongeBob and Patrick, hoping they'd work. I am not even sure why I'm putting this as a highlight. Maybe it's because I'm looking for anything good in this episode. But that's just an interesting idea to me. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, and maybe it's because I watch Chucky so much, but I don't know. It's a fascinating inclusion. Overall, though, this episode's trash. It's boring, tedious, poorly written, half-efforted trash. Final verdict is a 2 out of 10. It deserves a 2 out of 10. It is an absolute dumpster fire of an episode. And it honestly surprises me that more people don't rip it apart. Instead, it's kind of just faded into irrelevance, when in reality, it's probably one of the worst episodes of modern SpongeBob. Because, again, the title outright lies to you. And then all the other jokes, aside from the voodoo doll thing, are stupid. The plot twist at the end is contrived. And the ending is just stupid. This whole episode's stupid, to be honest with you. That's why it's a 2. That's why it's a garbage episode. Now we're going to move on to final thoughts. Once again, not really a whole lot to say. One episode's trash, one is not. The one that's not trash is the winner of the 2 reviews. That's pretty much it. But definitely check out Inmates of Summer. It is a great episode that I think you'll really enjoy. And rest in peace to Arlie Ermy. I think that's pretty much all I got. Yep, that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more videos like this almost every single day. And stay tuned because we have... How many reviews do we have left here? Let me see. 1, 2, 3... Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4. We only have 5 more reviews left for Season 5, and then we're done. So, yeah, it's winding down now. And I just want to say thank you guys so much for participating in yet another fun SpongeBob month. I know this one was a little bit more harsh than the last 4, but it's because we're getting into the very darkest era of the franchise. So, gotta kind of match that energy, you know? But, thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys tomorrow when we talk about 20,000 Patties Under the Sea and Battle of Bikini Bottom. See you then. We cannot take it anymore. The time has come to go. Prepare for the ready for.